All right. Hello, everyone. So I want to do a quick video just to give you an overview of a couple tools, I think three tools that I like for research that I think are incredibly beneficial to you. And these are tools that I've discovered while teaching the research track. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. So share. Okay, you can see that. Okay, so what I have here is Zotero. So Zotero is an app that was recommended to me by one of our librarians, by Lauren Bryant in the library. Fantastic librarian, can definitely help you out, and is a master when it comes to using Zotero. So what is Zotero? Zotero is a way for you to track your resources. So it is something like a research log that allows you to track, organize, take notes, create citations, all of that stuff. And it is free. If you click upgrade storage, I think you can pay some money if you really want to, but the free version seems to function pretty well. A group last year did tell me that they maxed out their storage capacity. So that is possible, but I think you could probably go through and delete some unnecessary sources and save yourself some space there. So what I'm going to do is once I'm logged in, I'm going to click Web Library. And what you'll see is just me playing around with Zotero. So I don't know Zotero very well. I don't use it. I tried it out. It just wasn't for me. Maybe I need to give it some more time. But it's got some cool functionality that I think will work for a lot of you and makes sense. My reason for not using it is just because I'm old and I am stuck in my ways, so I don't use it. But when I was playing around with this, I put in, for some other research that I was doing on my own, some books and podcasts. So what we have here is an item. So book, Everybody Loves Our Town by Mark Yarm. And then if you click on notes, what I've done is added a couple notes, a couple quotes or whatnot. I think you can see here, these are just kind of my notes to myself. Now you can add all sorts of other things. You can add podcasts. You can add, if I click on the plus sign here, journal articles. You can bills, blog posts, conference papers, all sorts of things. Now, what are the advantages of using Zotero? Okay, so there are a couple. As I already mentioned, if you're working in a group, everybody can have access to this and everybody can kind of add sources as need be, which I'm sure is how that one group ended up maxing out capacity. So it is a good tool for that. Another thing is there's a browser extension which will allow you to import things, I think, directly as you're finding them online, just to create a little bit more ease of, hey, I like this source. I don't need to do any extra steps to put it into Zotero. So again, if you are interested in this, and I would suggest at least playing around with it briefly, I would suggest you make an appointment with Lauren Bryant so that she can walk you through this so that you can maximize your usage of Zotero. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to switch to a different thing here. So let me go ahead and bring it up. So this other one, share this tab instead. Okay, this is Research Rabbit. So Research Rabbit is a way to find sources. And what's cool is up here, you can connect it to Zotero. So if you already have a Zotero, you can connect to Research Rabbit. Again, this is also free. I don't know if there's a paid membership to this, but I've got a couple things here. So the cancer research one here and the Peto's paradox one you see are from a former student, but I don't have access to those. But if I click digital media and fiction, which is some research I was doing, what's cool is you can add papers in here. So you just click that add papers. And I was playing around with this before making this video. So if I put in a title or a DOI and do search, it's going to bring up a paper. And I say, yeah, okay, that's the one I wanted. Add to collection. And it's going to add that paper. So what I have now is a bunch of different papers that I've found. And I can click on one of these and it kind of gives me abstract or whatever overview. But if I go over, I think it's here, all references. Okay, cool. So what happens is you get this visual sort of map, and you can see these are different authors and dates things were published. And if I click on those, I can find potentially new papers. I can do similar work, right? And then I get this other web of things, and I can zoom in. I can click on one. Okay, I get new information there. I can click on another one, and I can see the arrows of how things are connecting, so how things are referenced. So this is another way to search. And from what I understand, what it's doing is it's using its own algorithm to say, hey, you liked this paper, you might want to check out this other paper. Or I could look at citations, right? Again, same thing. A really cool way to potentially find new work, especially if you're stuck or if you find like a really, really cool source that's giving you a lot and you want more like it. So I would definitely play around with this too. I wouldn't use it necessarily in place of, say, Academic Search Complete or whatever other search engine you're using, but I think it is a pretty fantastic and kind of like surprisingly sophisticated system. I don't know if I should be surprised by that anymore. Okay, so we have Zotero and Research Rabbit. And the last one I'm going to show you is less of sort of tracking sources, less of a, finding new sources, and more of something that to do once you have your sources. And there was a student last year who introduced me to this next thing. And some of you are, I'm sure, already familiar with this. And it is an AI platform. Now, just to preface it, what it is something that you could use to help you synthesize the material that you have. So let me go ahead and share the, I'm going to share this one. Okay. So this is Notebook LM. Notebook LM, if you're not familiar, is a Google AI. And I obviously often am anti-AI for many purposes. However, this one I think is really, really cool. So what we have, so I'm going to go ahead and show you one that I put together. So I had sort of gotten on this track of being interested in Spinoza's philosophy. And before diving into any of Spinoza's really complex philosophical writings, because if you've read philosophy, it takes a lot of attention, a lot of focus to read, internalize, understand, comprehend these different ideas. So what I did is I came to Notebook LM, and what you can do is add in different sources. So once you add those sources in, it will add as many as you want, or you can start typing things, or let me adjust here, see if I can close that. Okay. So I can add a source, right? So I can upload a source, I can add a link, I can paste text. And then what it will do is it will generate an audio overview. And it's pretty impressive. So what it creates is a podcast. And for whatever reason, the podcast that has generated for me have been about 20, 25 minutes in length. The podcasts are two AI characters talking, a male and a female. You can probably adjust that if you want. But they're having a conversation like a podcast, and the AI is pulling from whatever you've told it. So if we think of a large learning model, right, something like ChatGPT has been trained on everything. What we're doing here is kind of giving the system specific texts to focus on. So it's just going to focus on those. So we've got those texts, so we can get the audio. And this is the student that introduced me to this had said she likes doing research, but doesn't like reading. And so using Notebook LM allowed her to find complex sources, put them into Notebook LM, and then listen to a synthesized audio version while she was doing other things that would help deepen her understanding. Now, the caveat, of course, is that we're not going to want to quote from Notebook LM, and we're not going to want to use the words that Notebook LM is using, because that would be plagiarism. But at a more fundamental understanding the material standpoint, it's pretty phenomenal. Now, there are a couple other really, I don't know if it's might have to regenerate these things. Oh, it's generating now a mind map, but it'll do a mind map. It'll do flashcards, a quiz. I think somewhere I found there was like an outline. I've played around with this quite a bit. The video overview I find is takes a long time to generate and isn't really that helpful for me. It tends to be really surface level. So I think the way that I would recommend doing this, if we kind of track backwards, and as I wait to see if it'll, study guide. Okay, so there's my study guide. Okay, and let's see, do reports, mind map, still generating. Okay, what I would recommend if I were to be doing in-depth research, this is how I would approach it, is I would start out using Academic Search Complete to find sources. Those sources I would put into Zotero. Once I've found a bunch of sources that I like, I've read, I've thought about, I really know that they're helpful sources, then I would go to Research Rabbit and I would connect Zotero to Research Rabbit to help me potentially find new sources. Once I have sources that are very helpful, if I'm still struggling with an idea or a concept, or maybe I just need a refresher or a bird's eye overview, I would choose 4 or 5, probably no more than 10 of those really good sources, and I would put them into Notebook LM and I would have it generate the podcast. Then I could listen to the podcast, I can print the mind map, any of those things, so that I have another resource as I'm grappling with these concepts. Now, again, a couple things I'll just reiterate. One, I would make sure that you're reading and understanding the sources first, so that you will know if Notebook LM makes mistakes, because I have found a couple times when I've used this that it makes a mistake. I don't know why that is, but there'll be a mistake in a detail or a mistake in wording. So you want to make sure that you've read the material first. This isn't a replacement for doing the reading. It is a way to augment or support your reading. Now, the other thing that I would do with this is, again, make sure that you're not just copying and pasting the text. You're not using this to write for you like you would be using, like ChatGPT or something like that. So let's go back over real quick and see. It's still generating the mind map. So I'm gonna actually do one more thing now that I'm thinking about this. So I do something very controversial, especially for my way that I teach and talk about these things, is I'm going to go work with the devil. So ChatGPT. Now, I think that as a tool, ChatGPT can be incredibly helpful, and it can be a way to expand your awareness and thought on a topic once you've started doing some research. The goal is to leverage your ability to prompt ChatGPT in a certain way. So let's do this. Let's give it a shot. So the first thing that I would do, and I've done this before, and I'm going to use actually my favorite example, is I'm going to prompt ChatGPT to debate with me. So rather than having it generate text, what I'm going to say is, imagine that you are a college professor of English, and debate with me whether or not students should be allowed to use AI like ChatGPT to complete assignments. Now, I've got the first part. Now let's add a couple descriptors here. A experienced and thoughtful, thoughtful college professor. Please take the standpoint of a professor, standpoint that students should never use AI in an academic setting. Okay, I'll stay logged out. Okay. So now, see what we've got here is it's starting to lay out its argument. And I'm going to let it kind of do its thing. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do, because AI will keep going. So it says, I'm just going to pull from this last bit. AI may have a place in administrative tasks, but when it comes to completing assignments, doing the thinking, interpreting, expressing that make up, it has no rightful role. I'm going to debate with it. I'm going to say, thank you. I appreciate your thoughts, because it's always nice to be nice. What about if a student uses an AI as a debate partner to explore new thoughts and push their ideas and comprehension further? Okay, so now it's going to continue this, right? Now, what I've done, and I've done this exact debate before with ChatGPT, so while it kind of does its thing, is I will debate with it this way for a while until I feel like I've kind of gathered my thoughts and ideas. And then I could, I'm kind of, my brain's going somewhere else. I can ask it to switch to a different perspective. So there are a lot of different ways that we can leverage this. But again, I think that the caveat is not to use the AI to generate ideas for you, not to provide you an outline or find you sources, but rather prompt it to engage in a debate, especially on a topic where maybe there's somebody else that you can't debate on this topic. So I'll give one more example. I know this video is getting long. Last spring-ish, I was doing a lot of reading on quantum physics and things like that, and just for my own purposes, because I'm a nerd. And I was pondering these things and thinking about these topics, and I don't have a background in physics. And I wanted to talk to somebody, but I don't know anybody that studies quantum physics. And then I realized that ChatGPT at least has a cursory level of what it can pull from the internet. Is it going to be right? Is it going to be wrong? There might be some errors, but again, I'd already read 3 or 4 books on the topic, watched some YouTube videos. So I felt pretty well versed in the topic. And I asked it to debate with me. I also asked it to imagine that it was a quantum physics professor and have a discussion with me, a Socratic discussion about some aspect of quantum physics. I don't remember if it was black holes or something like that. That deepens my understanding. So again, it is a tool. I think that there's a lot of interest. There are a lot of interesting ways that we can use it beyond what people generally use it for. And in a place where we're using it to be a discussion partner or debate partner, or a Socratic sounding board, I think that that's where it becomes incredibly helpful. So there you go. The video's gone on a little bit longer than I intended, but hopefully now you have some tools. And if you think of others that maybe I haven't mentioned that you like, that you use, or that you're trying out, please let me know so I can share them with everybody. In the meantime, if you have questions, comments, concerns, jokes, memes, or recipes, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you all later.